Thank you very much for staying with us on Jasiri. Now we'll move on to the next story happening. Before the headlines became murder charges, extradition, and an international manhunt, there was a mother and two daughters with ordinary lives. We're talking about Nothabo Zandile Tshuma, 42. She was a professional who worked as an associate director at Forensic Risk Alliance. Her colleague described her as a valued and much-loved member of their organization. Her daughter, Natalie, 15, was in year 10, a student of Bedford Girls' School. She was remembered as a talented dancer, musician, and keen sportswoman. And 5-year-old Nala attended Pilgrim's pre-prep school, where she was remembered as inquisitive, bubbly, affectionate, and full of humor. Those details matter because once a person becomes the center of a criminal investigation, there is a danger that the investigation becomes the entire identity. The three has now been buried in Bulawayo, but the grief did not end at the cemetery. Today we have Dr. Abigale Mupambi, human rights defender. She's joining us now to shed more light into the story. Dr. Mupambi, welcome to Jasiri.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Mupambi, now speak to us because for those gathered, this was a moment of mourning, to bury the three family members. But it's also a chance for these three people to be remembered, whose lives extended far beyond, the tragic circumstances of their death. So tell us, the funeral reportedly came with difficult emotions, members of families present and concerns raised about the way the tragedy, was covered in the media. So what does such a large turnout tell us about the impact, of such a tragedy and what it has, the impact it has on a community?
Thank you so very much. I should say that as Zimbabwe, as Africa, as the women's constituency world over, we are grieving, and the tragic incident actually reminded us of the everyday intimate relationship linked violence. Some may call it domestic violence. Has actually always costed us lives, and it has reminded us that this is not only happening like in the United Kingdom or affecting the family, the Tshuma family, but this is a cancerous issue that is haunting communities world over. And it has also taken us aback and remember that we have put mechanisms as United Nations, as African charters, as regional bodies, but there is something still missing. Why? Because we are still losing lives. And it is even more touching when you are looking at the lives of the vulnerability of children in the circles of domestic violence and circumstances that Natalie and Nala, 15 and 5, found themselves. A promising future, a promising children, and this must actually take us to interrogate the systems of safety, our safety nets, our coordinated efforts, and begin to say, how far are we? Because right now, as things stand, just in 2024 alone, the United Nations spoke about approximately 50,000 women suffering or killed within the same circumstances. And it hasn't reported the other consequences around their children and even also men engulfed in such. So I think we still need now, we are brought forward to the debate of interrogating our mechanisms and beginning to say, what can we do better as society? But at the moment, this case has actually opened and reminded us that we need to do more in that direction.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Mupambi. Now, when we're looking at the numbers, as Darshan mentioned, when a family is grieving a death that has attracted such an intense international media presence and attention, especially with the peculiarity of this specific case, given that the husband and the father is the alleged killer, how difficult would it be for the relatives to have space to mourn, privately and, of course, for the rest of the family as well?
It is difficult. It is difficult. It's a two-way process. The kind of attention that has been given to the Tshuma murder case and the victim case is the other way is that it is not easy for them to grieve or mourn or do it like other families may actually have mechanisms of trying to heal privately and probably at the end of the day suffocating justice. I think it is actually commendable that it has gotten international attention, international media, national attention to an extent that it will be very much an issue that is going to be tracked with interest from different aspects and different platforms. I think on its own, it is actually going to be an anchor for other cases and other related cases, for other individuals, other victims also to know that such cases deserve justice. Justice has to be brought. And I think other cases, hidden cases, hidden victims, some who may have failed to speak out may also find energy and probably mirror in particular with particular attention to this case and also come out and so that collectively victims, potential victims, societies, policymakers, leaders, human rights defenders, we collectively join hands at this point in time, reflect on even other issues that have not been brought to light clearly and begin to say, how can we make our homes safety nets? How do we interrogate issues of domestic violence? And for record, it is important that there is always a trail. The issue of the killings and the homicide and so forth, these are issues that will always emerge or show face at last. But there are always indicators. Those are issues that we must be following. There are always trails of domestic violence, trails of beatings, trails of violence.
Right. Dr. Mupambi,
we must be able to curb so that we deal with questions of prevention. Yes, response we can be doing, but we must be able to identify, we must be able to prevent, we must be able to curb, and of course find other alternatives to assist the families while this.
All right, Dr. Mupambi, if you can hear me, now that the funeral is actually over, there's also a legal matter to this particular case that is unfolding. Let's put the legal timeline into perspective, because on July 7th, the bodies of Nothabo Zandile Tshuma and her daughters were discovered at their home in Great Denham, Bedfordshire. Ndodana, that's the husband, Tshuma, had already left the UK and he was later arrested in Johannesburg, South Africa, where police say that he was found with an unlicensed firearm. Now, UK prosecutors authorized 3 murder charges in connection with the deaths, but because Tshuma was arrested in South Africa, getting him back to the UK is not simply a matter of putting him on the plane. So there's an extradition process. At his July 2022 appearance before the Johannesburg Magistrates Court, Tshuma abandoned his bail application and was remanded in custody. So both the extradition proceedings and the separate firearm and ammunition case were postponed to August 27. The National Prosecuting Authority said that the extradition matter was delayed to allow outstanding documentation to be finalized, while the firearm matter was postponed to allow further police investigation. So August 27 becomes the next significant legal checkpoint, but not the end of the case. Dr. Mupambi, let's unpack this. For viewers who may, be confused, what exactly is expected to happen when Tshuma returns to the Johannesburg Magistrates Court on August 27?
Well, I think we also need to appreciate the complexities of international law and when these criminal cases are being dealt with, where Interpol issues are involved. And right now, we realize that the Tshuma has been found also with another unlicensed firearm. There are other charges surrounding him, And definitely, I'm sure this is why this delay of has happened. And also, we understand that he has also breached three issues around his own bail conditions. And by the 27 days we are putting it, I think we will be expecting to be given or to be directed on how these real issues, the real allegations around the murder case will have to take shape and take direction. And I, for one, I think that there has been issues around making sure that he's transferred back to the jurisdiction where he might have committed the very same crime. And I want to believe that we will be expecting to have the real issue taking the center stage and giving probably hope, breathing hope that indeed we are going to see justice coming. And remember also the complexities of the law. We remain saying it is alleged until found guilt. And understand that also issue, but the broader part of it is that as the prime suspect to this case, we expect this to the direction particularly linked to this murder case to take shape from that particular benchmark today.
All right, Dr. Mupambi, we know that there are two matters before the South African authorities, and it have indicated that the firearm matter must be dealt with first before the extradition can proceed. So why does this matter take priority? And what could determine how quickly the extradition request moves forward? Because the matter must conclude before they start the extradition process.
Well, thank you. I have been talking about the issues of jurisdiction. But when you look at the issue of, this is an issue and another, in our view, that he was found in possession within the jurisdiction of South Africa. And they must find logic and they might find the conclusion on this particular matter within the geographical demarcations of South Africa. And it sounds very much like justice delayed, particularly with the eager the people have to find a determination, to find clarity on the major in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of everyone else. We feel that the major case is the major. But let's appreciate that the major happened and is still alleged within the UK. And now the prime suspect is in South Africa. And in that particular jurisdiction, he has already made certain, he has already committed other related crimes, which may also give the lead. Because when someone is found in possession of a firearm and is also a suspect on a major case, those cases, they do link. I want to believe that the question here is about justice delayed. Looks like justice denied. The issue is there must be a calculated precision of expediting even the particular cases within South Africa to allow the prompt time for people to follow the next stage. I don't think that in the interest of the public, in the interest the interest of international community, human rights defenders, families, and so forth, the interest of healing also, I want to believe that something must be done faster to conclude these related cases in South Africa, and people are eager to answer the question of what really happened to the mother and the two babies.
Dr. Mupambi.
The two children, and this is what matters most. And I want to believe that justice has to be seen to be just.
Dr. Mupambi, if I may interject there.
To be just. And once this delay is prolonged, the particular route of justice will also fail to be seen and to be felt to be just. And it is the lobby position that the people who may want to see this case as a case of interest, as a referral case to many other cases that I alluded to, we want,
Dr. Mupambi, if you may hear me,
and to see justice coming probably in a shorter period of time.
Dr. Mupambi, I'm quite curious. I don't necessarily think that it looks like a delayed justice process. Taking into consideration the fact that the Johannesburg Magistrate Court said they want to first start with the case of the firearm. I'm curious to find out from you. I don't know if you can perhaps educate us in this regard. If he is found, if Ndodana is found guilty of the possession of an illegal or an unlicensed firearm, what does that look like? Does South Africa have the right to detain him and he serves a sentence in South Africa before the extradition takes place to the United Kingdom?
Well, I also want to feel that well, for the South African police or the South Africa security system to begin to hunt for, in particular, to investigate or to the case of Tshuma. It was a referral case related to international criminal systems, and Interpol also involved. So I want to believe that if he is found guilty, this will give a solid base to link his attitude, his character, and in particular circumstances that may assist to bring to reasonability some of the factors that may assist in the major case. And the question around detaining him and allowing him to save, I want to believe that they may put that position and they still be able, within those jurisdictions, be allowed to proceed to answer for the main case. Because here you must understand that there was a major case, and to detain him in South Africa, probably allow him to save, say, 10 years for the firearm case, in my view, it will look like suppression of the major case.
All
and
right,
for me, I feel that surely it is important to find determination on this firearm case and proceed with that particular determination to another jurisdiction.
Dr. Mupambi, we know that it will eventually happen, this extradition. But if and when he is extradited to the UK, what happens next? Does he immediately go to trial, or are there further hearings before a trial can begin on that particular issue?
Definitely, South Africa will only deal with a matter of its own jurisdiction. A full process regarding this major and the primary reason why the Interpol has been, why international criminal system has been chasing Tshuma will be dealt with within the setup of the jurisdiction of the United Kingdom. And surely I don't want to believe that the South African judiciary is interrogating a case outside its jurisdiction. Theirs is to hand over. But because he has got other issues related to the jurisdiction of South Africa, I'm sure they're only going to attend to that and allow the laws, the judicial systems in the UK to handle matters within its own jurisdiction.
All right, now, so Dr. Mupambi, for the families themselves, you know, does an international legal process make obtaining justice more difficult emotionally and financially?
Definitely, it's not an easy one, but personally, I want to believe that they are, or the family, emotionally it drains, but also the family can lean on the leverage that is there to make sure that we collectively lobby for a human rights organization, for aligned movements to definitely assist in the process. No family can chase, particularly these systems of our international, even in national courts. You know, these are costly systems to follow. These are training systems to follow. We may need to rely on to lean on the leveraging attention of this case and make sure that the human rights defenders, human rights organizations. Personally, next week I'll be going to Bulawayo as a follow-up to this case, so that there is consensus, there is appreciation of the healing process of the family, and also a follow-up to the justice system of this particular case. It is a complex scenario, but one thing for sure, justice has to be delivered. Justice has to be exemplary delivered, so that it also pays a certain dividends in motivating safer communities, safer homes for all of us.
Dr. Abigale Mupambi, thank you so much for joining us today and for giving us insight and, of course, a few next steps on what could happen next, and, of course, shedding light into the story. We will continue to keep our eyes on the ground ahead of the August 27 hearing. The funeral happened on the 4th of August. The mourners have returned back home, but for the families of Nothabo Zandile Tshuma, Natalie and Nala, grief does not follow a news cycle. And for the legal system, the story is far from over. Ndodana Mkhanyisi Tshuma remains in South African custody. The UK has authorized 3 murder charges, while South Africa is handling a separate firearm and ammunition case. His next court appearance is scheduled for August the 27th, when the extradition process and the local firearm matter are expected to come before the Johannesburg Magistrate Court. Again, beyond the courtroom, the IOPC investigation will examine previous police contact with the family, and perhaps this is where the conversation needs to remain, not simply on how 3 people died, but on who they were, what their families have lost, and what justice should look like, and of course, what society must learn from their deaths. Nothabo was a mother and a professional. Natalie was a daughter, a student, and a dancer, musician, and sportswoman. And of course, a 5-year-old Nala was a girl remembered for her joy, her laughter, and her bright personality. They do deserve to be remembered as more than 3 names in a murder investigation. That's all we have for you this morning. Join us again tomorrow for Hot Topics.